Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Jackie Lambie's resignation is sending shockwaves among her core support base as the spotlight turns to her likely replacement. Devonport Mayor Steve Martin is the heir to Lambie's throne, but he remains tight-lipped over his political future.
The crash landing of Burnie's colourful Crusader has been met with disbelief and dismay.
I just reckon she's got a really good backbone and should fight for the Tasmanians.
Her heart's been in the right place, I feel.
We like Jackie, she's a local, and what you see is what you get, and that's what we need in politicians.
In Lambie's hometown of Burnie, there's a sense a fighter has gone down. But none are more rattled than the former senator's own staff. They will soon be out of a job.
I would also like to thank my staff. Who at many times have been my bloody saving grace, I'll tell you.
Her staff's saving grace could be a lifeline from Lambie's successor, current Devonport Mayor Steve Martin.
He's had to fight for everything in his life. He's a local lad, and I don't think I could ask for much better.
Martin ran on the Jackie Lambie Network Senate ticket in the last federal election. Back then, he said his focus remained on his duties as mayor. Nothing's changed, Martin declining an interview as he attends a ratepayer-funded conference on the Gold Coast. He says he will reveal his hand on Thursday back home.
It's a crisis, really. It's becoming like a crisis.
But don't think we've seen the last of Jackie Lambie. The door is open for her to run in Braddon should a by-election take place, as sitting member Justine Kay hangs by a thread under her own citizenship cloud.
You know what? I haven't slept for nearly 4 days, not knowing what's going on. If they want to continue to live like that, if they actually have a conscience, then be my guest. But quite frankly, and I'll tell her right now, the people of Braddon will not appreciate that. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
A true Tasmanian hero has been farewelled today at a special ceremony in Hobart. Rotalift founder Roger Corbin tragically lost his life during a training operation at Hobart Airport last week. Today he was remembered as an inspiring colleague, a larrikin and a family man.
Today, a chance to celebrate a life that touched so many. Roger Corbin farewelled at a gathering of nearly 1,000 friends and family. The Rotalift founder, known by many as a rescue hero. Today, he was remembered as a larrikin family man.
My life is the memory of Dad tearing up the dance floor on my birthdays, the life of every party. Ours was a love story for sure, and it was filled with adventure and fun and enormous love and very bad dancing.
Brother, we're going to miss you greatly. You've been a rock in our family for all of us.
The experienced pilot moving to Tasmania 17 years ago, establishing the state's first 24-hour helicopter rescue service.
Roger built our business to a service that is second to none. And as we know, there are many people who are alive today because of this.
Colleagues describing him as inspiring, with a passion to help people.
He loved the challenge of bringing the best out in people. He basked in the knowledge of knowing that he contributed to the achievement of excellence.
Tasmania would not have the service it has today without the tireless work of Roger and Alana. I can assure everyone here that it is second to none in Australia and the envy of all.
Nationally recognised with more than 700 rescues, a Western Tiers operation in 2002 highlighting his drive to succeed.
It's a pretty hard thing to turn around and actually make that call.
The crew was met by low cloud cover and no moonlight. The only target for the helicopter was 2 fires lit by survivors.
The clouds so wide among the blue will remind us all to be thankful for you. No longer will a growing black spot appear with noise enough to wake the atmosphere.
To mark the end of the service, a guard of honour to farewell Roger Corbin. And in a fitting send-off, a final flight in the rescue helicopter. to the skies he knew so well. A formation flight parading over Hobart in the final mission for a Tasmanian hero. Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
A review of a deadly flu outbreak at a Tasmanian aged care facility has found several failures contributed to the situation. Federal authorities say staff were overstretched, clinical care suffered and infection control wasn't effective.
The Strathdevon Aged Care Facility at Latrobe has come under the microscope after 6 residents died with influenza during an August outbreak. The Aged Care Quality Agency revealing the full extent of the situation, highlighting 5 areas of failure.
What I've seen in the report so far, it looks to be disturbing, and to have the deaths result of that, it's very disappointing for the families involved.
The 6 residents who died hadn't been referred to a medical practitioner at the illness. The facility failed to meet standards for infection control, complaints, staff management, clinical care and education.
But it does mean that they're on notice, and we undertake a number of visits, especially towards the end of the timetable for improvement.
A total of 31 residents and 29 staff contracted influenza, including the management team. Some shifts weren't able to be filled, meaning the facility was short-staffed. Nurses say it's not an isolated situation.
Fundamentally, the bottom line is that there are insufficient staffing levels, not just at this facility, but at all facilities across the state to enable nurses and care workers to provide the quality care that they wish to be able to provide.
We're dealing in a broad sense in terms of trying to build our workforce numbers and supply across the board, but these are always circumstances that are going to stretch that, as they would in any other industry.
A concern for authorities, less than half the staff were vaccinated for influenza.
In theory, everyone should be vaccinated, and I think that's what the Commonwealth Government are going to be moving towards, that it should be mandatory for staff to be vaccinated in facilities.
It's a much broader issue than just the nurses, midwives and care workers in aged care. It's a community issue, and in order to achieve herd immunity, all of the community needs to be undertaking the vaccination program for influenza.
In a statement, Uniting Aged Well CEO says, "I sincerely regret we did not meet the standards in all respects and unreservedly apologise. Uniting Aged Well has taken decisive action to ensure identified gaps are immediately rectified."
Both here and nationally, it was one of the most severe seasons on record. So, it was extreme circumstances that really even stretched the contingency plans.
The facility retains its accreditation and will undergo another audit in March. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
Police are investigating allegations of historical sexual abuse at an elite school in Hobart. The Friends School recently received complaints made by a former student involving a former member of staff. In a letter to parents, the principal confirmed the teacher in question hasn't worked at the school for decades. Police say a referral was made by the Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse. Hobart's criminal branch is now assessing the information. 2 Tasmanian men accused of attempting to import MDMA into the country have appeared in the Launceston Magistrates Court. Shia Alex Gibling and Toby John Delavale pleaded not guilty to the import charge. They have also both denied possessing a border-controlled drug. The attempt to import charge is a federal offence and carries a maximum penalty of life imprisonment. Gibling and Delavale have both been bailed to next appear in the Supreme Court in February. A St Helens man accused of committing an act of indecency against a woman on a plane without her consent has denied the accusation. Charles James Morgan Griffiths appearing in the Launceston Magistrates Court today. Through his lawyer, he pleaded not guilty to the charge of committing an offence on an aircraft. The matter has now been adjourned until December. Tasmania's Water and Sewerage Corporation has been delivering on its objectives outlined during industry reforms in 2009. An audit into TasWater found improvements have been made to water quality and asset management. However, not enough progress was made on environmental outcomes with non-compliant sewage treatment plants.
Taking on more debt to bring forward some of that capital expenditure to address those compliance issues.
TasWater says with water quality issues almost resolved, efforts will now focus on wastewater treatment. The government claims the corporation hasn't used its balance sheet to invest due to dividends paid to its council owners. The first of 100 new metro buses for the state has rolled into service after being built on the Gold Coast. Production will now move to Tasmania to complete the record investment, overhauling the state's public transport.
Hailing the first bus off the rank. This was built in Queensland, but it's the product of Tasmanian toil. Local workers flew up to the Gold Coast to learn how this model of bus is built. Now, Wynyard will be the epicentre of the multi-million-dollar undertaking. The remaining 99 buses will come out of Elphinstone's factory.
We've been training people as we've been going, so this bus has been built on the Gold Coast by our team, and we've been at this probably for about 4 or 5 months in earnest.
This first edition is going to Hobart. The rest will be dispatched across the state. The order will replace a third of Metro's total fleet.
When we came to office, we had no chance of meeting Disability Discrimination Act requirements, and we had the oldest bus fleet in Australia by a long shot.
24 jobs have already been created from the contract. A further 6 will be fast-tracked now the prototype has arrived ahead of schedule.
We'd hoped it would be here by the end of the year. Here we are, mid-November, and it's arrived.
Elphinstone expects to build roughly 3 buses per month until the order is complete. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
An inquiry into Tasmanian child and family centres has recommended more facilities be built across the state. The Legislative Council Select Committee published its final report today. It found there are not enough centres or outreach services to meet the needs of Tasmanian families. It's recommended engaging relevant stakeholders to identify service gap areas which would benefit from purpose-built facilities. Meanwhile, a separate committee looking into the Tasmanian dairy industry has also released its inquiry report. It found the state has the capacity to significantly increase its milk production, but says the Tasmanian road and freight network needs improving to help facilitate growth. The committee has also recommended the state government help strengthen the defendability of the Tasmanian brand. An organisation that has worked tirelessly to save the iconic Tasmanian devil from extinction is set to disband after 10 years. The Devil Island Project isolated healthy animals from the deadly facial tumour disease in purpose-built quarantine facilities.
The future of the devil is now secure, and we leave a legacy that can be followed by the rest of the world of the best welfare-friendly methods of conserving wildlife and getting them back to the wild.
The project's founder says more than $2 million raised was spent building 5 free-range enclosures to house and breed disease-free devils. As the weather around Tasmania begins to soar, pet owners are reminded of the risks of leaving animals in cars. The RSPCA is urging owners to remain vigilant and remember that inside a car is often twice the temperature of outside.
It might seem harmless, but leaving animals inside a car or on the back of a ute can be deadly.
The temperature inside a car doubles very, very quickly, and about 6 to 7 minutes is all it takes for those animals to actually perish.
Owners reminded that leaving windows down is illegal and does not prevent vehicles from reaching extreme temperatures.
It's just not worth it to put your animal in the car because you never know what's going to happen.
This inspector says even if the outside temperature is as low as 15 degrees, inside it can reach more than 40.
It's easy to think, oh, just be a couple of minutes, but unfortunately that is all that it takes.
Leave your animal at home and they'll be much better there. Keep them in the shade, make sure they've got water.
The RSPCA says ute trays such as this one can reach temperatures as hot as a frying pan on sunny days, which could mean disaster for little animals like Paulie.
Just like asphalt can, if anyone's walked on asphalt in a really hot day, that can burn the pads of dogs' feet. So we just need to be mindful.
The organisation warns dogs who are agitated, heavily panting or drooling need urgent vet attention. If someone does witness an animal left inside a car, contact Tasmania Police. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
What better reminder that Christmas is just around the corner than this Saturday's Christmas pageant in Hobart. These riders from the Southern City BMX Club, just one of the 60 acts taking part in the 37th anniversary of the event.
They're going to include Santa, of course, and then we're going to have Peppa Pig, we're going to have Aladdin, and we're going to have lots of dogs, and we're going to have steam engines, and there'll be lots and lots of activity for everyone.
There are 2,000 participants with 30,000 people expected to watch on. It starts on Liverpool Street at 10:30 a.m. The largest ship to ever cruise into Burnie arrived today, the Norwegian Jewel making her maiden voyage to the city with around 2,000 passengers on board. The vessel's visit made possible thanks to new port infrastructure.
Previously it wouldn't have been able to berth there except for the $1.74 million investment in the new mooring dolphin, which has increased the size of vessel that can call here from 285 metres up to 315 metres.
The number of ships visiting Tasmania is increasing each year. 138 vessels are scheduled to visit the state this summer. Today was Norwegian Jewel's first of 5 trips to Burnie for the season. Hobart's Village Cinema Complex has sold for $33 million to a private investor from Sydney. The Collins Street complex was formerly purchased 7 years ago for $16 million. Village Cinemas operates part of the site on a 9-year lease. Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The share market has taken its sharpest fall in 7 weeks due to a broad-based sell-off that included miners, energy producers, banks and healthcare giant CSL. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 53.1 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 76.32 US cents and 86.74 Japanese yen.
Tasmania has destroyed Victoria's lower order on day 2 of the Sheffield Shield at the MCG. The Tigers took 5 wickets for 10 runs in the morning session, the Rampage seeing Victoria bowled all out for 144. The Tigers are currently on 1 for 180 heading into day 3. Alex Doolan doing the heavy lifting, he's on 107 not out.
Good evening. Well, Hobart 29 today. That was at the airport, 30 in the city. Launceston 25, Burnie 20 and Devonport a top of 21 today. Some temperatures in the south up to 15 degrees above average as we witnessed a fine sunny day under a large high pressure system. Strawn 31, Grove 30, Bushy Park and Campania 29, Flinders Island 23, Friendly Beaches 22 and St Helens 21. Wynyard got to a top of 20 as did King Island, Lowhead and Lyawini 19. A band of cloud sits through central Australia, through the Southern Ocean to be just west of Tasmania. Little onshore cloud there in the west over southern Western Australia. Most of the eastern states clear apart from some low-level cloud clinging to the coastline. Mostly clear today over the state with some patchy convective cloud over the north. Tomorrow a cold front approaches us, extending a trough through central Australia. A weak low forms over northern Victoria. North to northeasterly winds at 15 to 25 knots. More easterly over Bass Strait, up to 30 knots over the east. 10 to 20 knot winds over the lakes. Strong wind warning for waters between Low Rocky Point and Stanley and from St Helens Point to South East Cape. A small craft wind alert for the lakes. So tomorrow, still warm and a hot day to start things off before a shower develops for Hobart, 30 the top, 28 for Geeveston, 29 for Bothwell. Similar forecast with showers moving in over the north, Launceston 26, 20 the high for Devonport and 27 for Cressy. Burnie tomorrow a late shower, 19, 26 for Strawn before that developing shower and 22 for Curry on King Island. And late showers over the east. St Helens 25 up to 29 for Swansea before the change and 27 for Orford. UV very high. On Thursday, areas of rain tending to showers in the afternoon. Showers to start the day on Friday, contracting to the north in the evening. And on Saturday, showers over the north extending to the west in the afternoon. A sunny 31 in Perth tomorrow. Showers early for Adelaide and later on in Melbourne. Sunny for Canberra and Sydney. A morning shower forecast for Brisbane. A storm likely over Alice Springs and Darwin. Sunny weather right now, and 27 in Hobart, 21 in Launceston, sunny in Devonport too, and 18 degrees. Maybe a different story tomorrow night, Jo.
Yes, it might be, but it is nice and warm for this evening. Thanks so much. That's all from the team for now. Have a great evening. We'll see you a bit later. Bye-bye.
You promised me you'd be around. Is that happiness can be found? That's right.
The light for me will always be the memories that Dad has. Dad had a talent of making ordinary moments become special.
Clouds away in the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky.